The USL Cup playoffs begin tonight. It begins in the Eastern Conference, and it begins in Louisville, Kentucky. For the first time, Louisville City FC are the #1 seed. They welcome the 8th team in the Eastern Conference, Bethlehem Steel, to Slugger Field tonight. And as we look at the bracket, Louisville and Bethlehem play this evening. They're the lone game in the conference tonight. Rochester will host Charlotte tomorrow, with implications being that the winner would take on the winner of this game in the semifinal. The other games on the other side of the bracket played tomorrow as well. And we welcome you for the first time with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts alongside. We're so excited for this game because Louisville is finally the #1 seed. They're great at home. Bethlehem has a stunning array of talent. We're really in for a good one.
Yeah, I think two very different teams here this evening. You mentioned Louisville cruising. They are firing on all cylinders. Only one loss in their previous 9 matches, so that's extremely impressive. On the other side of the coin, Bethlehem Steel FC only have 2 wins versus a top 8 playoff opponent. And that was all the way back in April. So a lot of work to do here for the traveling visitor squad.
And they're going to be missing a key piece. No Santi Moar tonight. He was injured in training yesterday, so big shoes to fill.
It's very unfortunate that Santi Moar is out. And, he really was doing very well gelling with this team. They were doing well pushing forward. But they've got very good pieces that are going to come up, Corey Burke and Sekou Kone. The two of them need to play an integral piece in tonight's game. Make sure they stay in constant connection. Burke on the outside, Kone up top by himself. Play in combination, move down into the channels, get things going early to start build confidence for this young Bethlehem Steel FC team.
19 of the team's 46 goals this year. For Oscar Jimenez, midfield or defender, whatever you call him, he's a chance creator.
A universal soldier, if you will. He does a great job getting up forward offensively, up the pitch. Used a lot on dead ball situations from the corner, from the spot, set pieces. So he's got excellent vision, and in his distribution, it's not too bad, actually. Does well with the middle of the field, excellent overlapping runs, but either way, they're going to need to get him involved early.
If you're Bethlehem, you don't make a ton of changes. Kone is in the lineup. Derek Jones is in the lineup.
I think Roberts in the back is going to be the vital piece for the defense. He's going to need to keep everybody organized, make sure he keeps the young Matt Real on the outside. Very young, very talented, but going forward, the most important piece in this squad tonight, in my opinion, is number 24 midfielder Adam Najim. He has to stay in connection going forward and coming back. Otherwise, they're going to fall apart.
For Louisville, only one change. Mark-Anthony Kaye scored a fantastic goal last time out, so he's into the lineup.
Well, I think the biggest thing for Louisville going forward is just consistency. They're going to want to hold the ball. They're going to want overlapping runs. Balls moved inside, balls moved up top. And if they can do that and do it on a consistent basis, I think that's the best recipe success for them.
Louisville has lost twice at Slugger Field in the last 16 months. They're the #1 seed now. Bethlehem, first trip to the playoffs. Will youth be served? Matchup coming next.
Ever wish your allergies would go away fast? You can stop wishing. Because at Family Allergy and Asthma, we can end your symptoms in as little as 2 days with Rush Allergy Shots. It's the fastest route to relief, and our doctors offer it. Call now.
The most important financial decisions aren't made in banks. They're made around kitchen tables and on porch swings. They're made over dinner and over coffee by real people trying to do the right thing for their families, today and in the days to come. We understand that. In fact, it's the reason we're here. We're Main Source, and we want to be a great bank for you.
I had an idea in my mind of where I wanted to be. I had attended a semester prior to joining the military, and I knew I always had a passion for computers. The fastest way for me to get there was through a certificate program at Sullivan University. Currently, I'm a security engineer at Farm Credit Mid-America, and I'm also an instructor at Sullivan University. By bringing my professional experience into the classroom, my students gain real-world knowledge. For me, I'm still learning in my career and from my students. You really never leave the classroom. It follows you everywhere.
Ever wish your allergies would go away fast? You can stop wishing. Because at Family Allergy and Asthma, we can end your symptoms in as little as 2 days with Rush Allergy Shots. It's the fastest route to relief, and our doctors offer it. Call now.
The heat is hot. You just have some adult beverages when you can go with the heat.
We come here pretty much every Friday now. We've been here several times and we love it.
Everything is fantastic, sides and all.
Chicken and waffles is excellent. It's the best place you can get it.
It's so hot, you actually get a buzz from eating this. You come get takeout that tastes like something you cook at home. That's what keeps me coming back.
The USL Cup playoffs kick off tonight. Louisville City, #1 seed in the East, taking on Bethlehem Steel. Luke Spencer scored twice in the opening half against Bethlehem in their first meeting of the season. The Steel have never beaten Louisville City. The last 2 years finished second. This year, finally atop the Eastern Conference standings. They've never lost here at home in the USL Cup playoffs, 3-0-0. But they've fallen in penalties to New York Red Bulls 2 last year at Red Bull Arena. They fell in Rochester in 2015, both en route to USL Cup titles. Luke Spencer waiting over the ball, the purple-clad warrior of Cincinnati, Ohio. Here we go. Slugger Field, the site. 1v8, the quarterfinals, the 2017 USL Cup playoffs with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts alongside, and it's a dangerous back pass as Roberts playing to McGuire, and it's kicked out altogether. That isn't how you want to start if you're the back line of Bethlehem.
Yeah, definitely not. You're going to want to minimize your mistakes overall, let alone in the first 20 seconds of this match. I think Bethlehem's going to have a rough time with Louisville coming forward and all their offensive firepower, but again, just stay composed and stay consistent, and they should be okay.
Nanko. That'll skitter into the Bethlehem bench. Bethlehem's first trip to the USL Cup playoffs. Last year finished with no wins in their last 12 games. A better finish this year. They call themselves a more mature team than they were last year. 12 wins, 46 goals, both records, and they're fine away from home. Mark Anthony Kay. Up the wing, George Davis. Deflected down by Matt Real. Makes his 18th start as an 18-year-old in the 2017 season. An early corner for Louisville.
Well, interestingly enough, you made the comment of Bethlehem doing so well away from home. They're going to need something special to come in here tonight and break down Louisville. They are so talented at home. One of the best records in the Eastern Conference, falling just short of the Rowdies for that title. We talked about Jimenez on his set pieces. You're going to get a good look about it early on.
Leads the league in chances created. His set piece is a big reason why. He's looking for Spencer and was popped up by Hugh Roberts. Backstopped by Speedy Williams, who played on that championship team for New York Red Bulls 2 last year. Kyle Smith had James Chambers giving chase. Kay, the Canadian international, trying to break through, and instead it'll by Aaron Jones. Nanko going hard into Toch, who was part of the 2015 Rhinos team that knocked out Louisville. Louisville, third minute. They're hosting because they had the best record in the East, the second best record overall in the United Soccer League, behind only Salt Lake City's Real Monarchs. Only 2 losses at home. And not only do they create chances, but they bag goals, especially at home.
Well, and they have such a stifling defense. You talk about Kyle Smith, Sean Toch, Paco Craig, and then obviously the wingbacks and Murad and Jimenez, and they get a lot of credit. But like you said, going forward, I think people sleep on them about what they're capable of doing, and doing it so fast.
Here is Jimenez. He gets bowled over by Corey Burke. Came way back defensively. Player with 9 goals on the year. Lobbed ahead for Kay and bounces to Jake McGuire, 22-year-old who was drafted in the second round by Houston, 2017 MLS Super Draft. Started 22 games this year with a strong 10-6-6 record. Comes back to Rand Jetsing, who was on the bench when the United States men's national team was eliminated from World Cup contention. Native of Canada, plays for Trinidad and Tobago.
I'm talking with James O'Connor midweek. Mike, you and I were asking him a multitude of questions, and one of which was, how do you think you guys are playing this year, and this, that, and the other? And he said, to be honest, I think we're just confident. We have so much confidence going forward, coming back, and that's contagious. And when you have a squad like Bethlehem coming in here, it's so difficult to play here in general, no matter what Louisville's record is, yet alone the fact that they're the #1 seed in the East. So, again, very impressive from Louisville, and how impressive have they been coming down the stretch. We talked about their 5-game unbeaten streak, and then 9, only taken down once in their last 9. So, just a solid squad all around.
This portion of tonight's telecast presented by Plainview Apartments. They are the official housing partner of Louisville City. Comes to Paco Craig, who's back into the starting lineup, returning from yellow card accumulation suspension. There's George Davis, last couple of years with the Richmond Kickers. Just work on Austin Trusty, who's very highly thought of as a central defender for the United States youth national team.
And I think with Austin Trusty is he continues to gain more experience and move up the ranks with his squad and become more of a vital and integral role. He just needs to be more consistent as well, because he's so good as a leader back there, but just has these mental lapses at times where he just tends to giving that vital ball away, and you know the other teams are counteracting it and taking advantage of it. I think if he can lock down those mistakes and minimize them as much as possible, he'll continue to gain that national recognition.
Del Piccolo played at the University of Louisville. Bring it off to Paco Craig. Jimenez up the line. Kay will work in on Jones. Kay continuing still. Jones stepped in. Comes to Jimenez! Off the crossbar and out. And a player down, Corey Burke at the top of the 18.
Corey Burke taking a little bit of brunt of that, but how impressive from Mark Anthony Kay. Lost his footing at first, doubled back, ball bounces out. You're going to see him here. It goes one-on-one. Nice tackle from Aaron Jones, but then the ball just sprays out. Jimenez has an absolute laser to the upper 90 and just catches one off the woodwork, and Louisville being very aggressive early on.
Brendan Burke saying this week Bethlehem has to match Louisville's intensity in the opening 10, 15, 20 minutes. Well, Jimenez almost turned that whole concept on its head.
Yeah, that's definitely not the road you want to go down, especially not this early in the game. And I think in order for Bethlehem to be successful here this evening and talk about that intensity, I think they need to be extremely physical on the ball tonight, because you know, going over the course of the season, they've got 100 more fouls blown against them than Louisville, and they've got 25 more cards. So they have the capability of putting bodies on the ball and more specifically on the man, but they need to do it consistently, because otherwise Louisville is going to eat them up with all the space. You know, close it down early, put a body on the man on the ball, and cause frustration.
Mark Anthony Kay did not embrace his inner Oscar Jimenez there.
Just wanted to make sure he gets the crowd involved early in the game. Keep a good atmosphere going.
Is that what that was?
He told me before he was going to, you know, try and put something into place early on for the crowd.
When you're coming off a game, and obviously you played a bit further back than Mark Anthony Kay traditionally finds himself, but you come off a game where you scored a fantastic goal, a USL world-class goal as it might be. You have that little extra confidence, that pep in your step coming into the next one, don't you?
You've got the wind beneath your wings for sure, and you feel like the sky's the limit, and unfortunately he put that one towards the sky.
Kyle Smith puts ahead to it. Trusty attempted to lay it through, and Speedy Williams on the ball. Nanko making that difficult. Bounces free for Najum. And it's coming back. Belongs to Louisville City. He's been a menace so far, 7 in purple. It was again Kay moving forward. Siku Kone ahead to that. And comes to Tarek Morad, who was the 17th and final player, among the outfield players at least, for Louisville to score a goal. He did it off a penalty in the final match of the year. It's a short roster, but everybody did end up scoring.
James O'Connor having a fun word about that as we chatted with him, asking what was that like? No, you know, the frustration about not converting from the spot, in his lovely accent as he would put it.
He said he didn't want to get it from the penalty spot, so, you know, he had it saved and hit in the rebound. Isn't that the plan all along?
Poor guy. He's going to take some abuse in the locker room for sure.
Nanko back for Najum. Lost the handle. Chambers was overlapping. Now, it's Aaron Jones. Turned over, and Del Piccolo carrying ahead. Kay and Jimenez moving forward in unison. That's a bit too far for the outside back. Well, he was at the start of the year. They started in a 4-back look, and because they have 3 good central defenders, really 4. One's not playing tonight. Went to a 3-4-3 and moved the wingbacks forward, and that's really when their season took off.
Well, and it gives you the capability to continue to be a stingy defense at the back, but also push numbers forward. And it's difficult playing that wingback system as a midfielder and as a center back. Players constantly moving, the overlapping runs, all the space to cover. And it'll be interesting to see how Bethlehem deals with it, because if you're not great at zonal marking, it will rip you apart.
Nanko collides with Morad. The Steel do keep the ball. McGuire had company. Did Davis play that off of Real? He did. Quick throw in behind. Trusty, a bit too tall to let that fly through. Smith plays it short. Davis in the area. Davis shooting. Saved by McGuire. Big play for Bethlehem on the road early. Louisville's second really good chance of the match.
Well, another phenomenal ball coming out of the back. Oscar Jimenez once again been very active in the early moments of this game. Plays a nice diagonal ball. Ball got cut back across, and Louisville trying to get on the board early, but Jake McGuire making sure that doesn't happen. Solid save.
Jimenez. Initial header won. Backstopped by Williams. Lobbed ahead right hand side. Jimenez caught that on his foot and sends service in towards Spencer. McGuire got there. And Morad, who didn't score on the run of play all year, was waiting at the opposite post.
He was looking for number 2 and 2 if we could. I'm sure James O'Connor would have been happy about that one. But once again, Jimenez all over the pitch as we continuously call his name, this time going with the left foot in swinging ball, and Morad unfortunately not able to get on the end of it.
Chambers, the Irish captain of this side for Bethlehem, goes up to meet the initial ball from McGuire. Burke shoved off the ball by Toch.
Yeah, but better from Corey Burke. He's got to stay high like that, continue to take chances, and throw that big frame of his around. Unfortunately bodied off the ball at the end, but that's a situation where Sekou Kone needs to understand that Burke's trying to move forward. He needs to come over and help support him, not make him do everything on his own.
Jimenez again. Davis stepping forward, laying it off. Smith. Kyle Smith attempted to cut it back. Trusty initial defense. Najim head to Nanko. Chambers is called for the foul. Del Piccolo trying to keep possession for Louisville.
James Chambers using his big frame and body to try and get in and win a 50-50 ball there with Paulo Del Piccolo.
Brendan Burke calling him one of the pulse players on this team. An extension of the coaching staff. All the accolades you traditionally hear on a young team of a more experienced player. Jimenez crossing, headed down. It's Morad! Tarek Morad scores for Louisville in the opening 15 minutes. He waited all season for that.
Well, Tarek Morad late to the party, but definitely a party goer nonetheless. As you said, Mike, 2 and 2, and Jimenez once again, great ball to the back post, going with the left, out swinging this time, headed down, and Morad just all the time in the world to do what he's done best lately. And he's going to get his second goal in the second game, and Jake McGuire just had no chance whatsoever on that one.
Look at Mark Anthony Kay pointing right at him with the biggest grin on his face. Morad, second overall of the year, first of the playoffs. And it is a Louisville City goal. Brought to you by the Kentucky Lottery, fueling imagination, funding education, the Kentucky Lottery.
I'll tell you what, Mike, we've said his name about 15 times in the first 15 minutes, but that's the reason he was one of our spotlight players. Oscar Jimenez just continuously pushing all over the field. He's been on the left, he's been on the right, over in the corner, and just his distribution, his runs, everything he's done so far has been absolutely spectacular.
Well, Bethlehem now, we're a quarter of an hour in. Louisville's got the lead. Bethlehem's on the road. They're a team that presses and they give that full measure of devotion to their game plan. What's the change now? Because he hasn't seen the ball nearly enough.
Yeah, stay calm for sure. One of the things that I talked about was with Adam Najim, keeping a constant connect between the entire squad, keeping the boys up top and the boys in the back organized, and we haven't really seen that. They need to become a little bit more compact. There's too much space for Louisville to play. Stay more compact, stay composed, and just stick to your game plan, because like you said, though they're down 1-0 on the road, we're only 15 minutes in.
This portion of tonight's telecast is presented by official partner Sullivan University. And Jetsing collecting. Injured in the 45th minute of the first match of the year. Sat the better part of a month. And Tim Dobrovolsky came in and was absolutely fantastic. But the Trinidad and Tobago international Ren Jetsing did eventually win that job back.
And you talked about Ren Jetsing also being away on international duty. So he's worked his way up through that program, and again, Dobrovolsky doing a great job stepping in, but how nice for James O'Connor to have those two aces in the hole any point in time that you need them to be able to interchange such an integral piece in your squad like that and not miss a beat.
24 and 23, the two goalkeepers. To be fair, Bethlehem calls on Jake McGuire's 22, and Tomas Romero is his backup. He started the game on August 20th between these teams. He's 16 years old, and to really make you feel bad about it, he was born in December of 2000. Not sure what you were doing at that point.
I'm going to politely and delightfully plead the fifth.
Jimenez, Spencer was trying to get under it, but simply too much.
Talk about another big boy up top. Luke Spencer standing at a little bit over 6'2". Jimenez has no problem letting him trying to go up and get something, even if he is 1v4.
Mark Anthony Kay got by Jones. Well, both Jones in the end. Williams leading up the line. And Bethlehem carrying away in the 18th minute. Kone has Burke running down the middle. Playing it to the top of the area. Shot is on. Deflected on the way. And out. Real got forward. And does earn Bethlehem a very important corner, their first of the match.
And there's that combination play we talked about with Kone and Burke doing a good job. Got to make sure that when you get these limited opportunities, because they are going to be limited for Bethlehem, that you take take chances of your opportunities. Make sure you put something in there into the mixer and let the boys run onto it, but still getting a corner out of it nonetheless.
Real was going to go to Wake Forest. The team has since signed him. Real bounces off of Burke. Spencer sidewinds it away. Lifted by Jones. Ranjitsingh, a two-fisted punch. Going over the top of Hugh Roberts, who's all of 6'4".
And Ranjitsingh showing full command of his box, letting every single person know that that's his special and happy place and to stay away from it. As you can see, there's just no real vision on the ball, just knocked in, trying to let Corey Burke run underneath it. But again, in that situation, Bethlehem needed to do a better job of controlling it.
Chambers.
ball gets cleared out by Louisville and you've got 50 yards of pitch and you decide to knock it right back in, but no one else was in there. You played it to a spot where there's 3 Louisville defenders. Keep possession.
Real. Oh, Burke got leveled right in front of Ranjetsing. It's a clean play.
Smart shoulder charge there by Paco Craig.
That's not one you see called by a referee very often.
You're not going to call it in the box, and definitely not for a penalty for sure. You might maybe get away with something in the middle of the pitch, but definitely not in that situation.
Smith recollecting, met by Real. Corey Burke making this interesting, but Tosh off the right-hand touchline. Smith. The slide only impeded the progress momentarily. Davis, trusty there. Jimenez, Kay. Oh, Mark Anthony Kay wasn't quite able to break through.
Not the best of footwork from Mark Anthony Kay. We're going to have to talk to James O'Connor about getting some salsa lessons in him in the offseason. You can't say anything. It benefited me.
It did. Ball for Spencer. It's up in the air. McGuire is at the byline. And that's a corner.
Blue City corner kick presented by Raising Cane's.
You're going to see Jimenez making his way all across the pitch for his corner kick duties.
Out of D2 Western Washington, played with the Sounders U23, on to Tulsa, and then in Mississippi, the Bria and USLPDL. Jimenez, an in-swinger. Won by Roberts. Fell to Chambers. First time that second ball has been collected, if only for a second, by Bethlehem. Toch. Headed back across by Craig. Popped in the air. Davis still going after it. That's a controlled foul at the midfield stripe.
Very smart for sure. You see Tarek Murad stepping up. Derek Jones did a good job on the second effort, coming out of the back and trying to move the ball up high. Better from Bethlehem coming out of the back, but just got to continue to show prowess. And as you said, Murad just making a professional foul as they didn't have numbers.
That left short. Kay goes to work. Bethlehem trying to follow in the footsteps of Orange County last year, knocking off Sacramento in the 1-8 game. This year a bit unique in that the 1-8 game being played on Friday in the East and the West. Later on tonight, Sacramento, last year the 1 seed, now the 8 seed, are going to try and swing the upset that ended their season a year ago against the Real Monarchs side that at a time, this mid-season, did set the USL consecutive win record.
I'm not really sure the smart money is going to be on Sacramento stepping up in that game and coming out with a win, but like you said, upsets are made to happen. They make sports fun.
And if you're Bethlehem right now, you come into this game, and Brendan Burke has said over the last couple weeks, we have nothing to lose at all. And I asked James O'Connor this week, is there any extra pressure? He said, not on us. So both these teams sort of feel like they're playing with house money in some capacity.
Well, I think with Bethlehem, you go back to the time-old tale of what makes you tick, and it's your heart and it's your pride. And just stepping up, and can you imagine coming into this amazing venue and dealing with the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, and you come out with the bragging rights of taking them down? I think that's motivation enough, and forget what your past record was or how many teams you've beaten in the top 8 or what you've done on the road, because look, it's one game and one game only, and that's all you got to do.
I think you're embracing your inner March Madness, asking how many top 50 RPI wins, so to speak. How many top 8 wins does Bethlehem have?
I was actually asked to be part of the selection committee, but I turned it down.
For the USL or for March Madness?
No, for March Madness. You know, I highlighted with basketball, even though I have no experience with it whatsoever.
Nanko steering. Turn for Kone. Won by Tosh. Burke. A lot under this. Nanko gave chase. And Smith the header.
With Bethlehem, their play is not very ingenuitive going forward and very scripted. You can almost see every single ball that's going to be played.
Burke overshot his target. Najum trying to hold up play. Did. Burke arriving again. Bodied by Speedy Williams. Jones, Chambers. Now the clearance off of Williams.
Again, there's Coy Burke all alone, isolated on the right-hand side, trying to take each and every player on. And Aaron Jones needs to recognize, you know, he played the initial ball on and he's so high in the pitch. Step up, give him support, make an overlapping run, do something to disrupt that Louisville back line. But instead, he just sits and lays in wait.
Oh, Tosh almost made a mess of that. Williams. Spencer on the turn. Jones poking it away. Mark Anthony Kay. Hand got up and hit Najum, who's slow to move on. Now Davis laying it back. Mark Anthony Kay! Did McGuire get the necessary touch? He did. Great save again by the 22-year-old goalkeeper for the Steel.
Yeah, another super save from Jake McGuire. And again, Louisville just going forward so quick. The combination play that they're exhibiting tonight is absolutely impressive. Louisville trying to steal another goal here.
Jimenez again. Found its way through. Took ill-fated hop. Bethlehem able to clear. Davis, service. Craig rising up. And McGuire snatches it down.
The center backs of Bethlehem have got to get more involved with those balls coming in. You can't allow a ball like that to drop right on your 6-yard box. And that starts with your goalkeeper, Jake McGuire. Better communication. Make sure everybody's properly marked up, because there are some spacing issues going on tonight that they cannot figure out.
Kay. Won by Jones. It's Aaron Jones now. Back for McGuire. Chambers took it away. Ball back for Chambers, and Najum could not connect. Chance to counter a bit, and that's out of play. It's been an interesting couple of days for Bethlehem. A Sports Illustrated report came out about the plans of the franchise moving forward. One that I think many observers would view as a poorly construed report with unconfirmed sources. Bethlehem Steel ended up putting out a release midweek about identifying a soccer-specific stadium option in the Lehigh Valley. The hybrid model has been around for years, something they've studied and evaluated. And they have had discussions with USL and MLS teams, but other reports, including one by Jonathan Tannenwald, indicate Bethlehem plans to be a part of USL moving forward. We're in the 29th minute here. They're trying to spring what will be the upset of the USL Cup playoffs against the Louisville City side. It's among the great stories in the United Soccer League. Averaging just shy of 9,000 fans here at Slugger Field this year. Spencer is fouled.
You can see the frustration mounting for Bethlehem as Austin Trusty goes one-on-one with Luke Spencer, then a cutback, and Derek Jones stepping in. Very frustrating for the left side of the pitch and all over for Bethlehem tonight, and they can just not find a way to shut these guys down. Talented Louisville squad, but you just can't give them that much space. You're 2v1 and you're giving him 5 yards for him to run at you. Step in and step in early.
Jimenez and El Piccolo standing behind the ball. This in the 30th minute. Jimenez off a steal defender, and Kay will usher it out. So a corner coming for Louisville City.
We've seen some decent distribution out of Oscar Jimenez tonight. That not a good representation of what he can do. Short-sighted on the ball that he played in, and very fortunate to get a flick from Bethlehem and grab a corner out of it.
Jimenez got all the way through, and again, Burke unable to get his back heel to it. Craig comes to Del Piccolo. Crossing, headed, ball back across off the crossbar. It's Morad again! Unbelievable. He doesn't score all year. A penalty saved in the last game of the regular season. He scores on the rebound, enters the playoffs, and scores twice in the opening 31 minutes.
Stunned and bewildered describes our faces in the booth right now. Again, Louisville, the ball's just bouncing in a row, having a domino effect with everybody. Poor clearance by Bethlehem. You're going to see the ball headed right down the middle. You can't do that. And Jake McGuire, I think maybe initially thought he was going to get over, then couldn't get a hand on it. Comes off the crossbar, and Tarek Murad just standing there, has no problem. Nice little touch into the back. They normally say three's company, but I'm sure he's happy to step in with his third goal of the season and his second tonight.
That was a Lou City goal brought to you by the Kentucky Lottery. Fueling imagination, funding education, the Kentucky Lottery. Greg Fisher's the mayor of Louisville, Kentucky, and well, he came in his business casual outfit tonight to drum through the purple smoke that billows out.
I think if he continues up with that excellent rhythm, he could end up by the drum major, leading that talented band. And once again, Bethlehem just shooting themselves in their own foot in that situation. Communication or not, you have to limit those chances and confine Louisville as much as possible, and just poor clearance. Not the best of goalkeeping from Jake McGuire, and unfortunately they are definitely behind the 8 ball in the 32nd minute.
And Jetsing clears that away. We'll go out. Greg Fisher's gotten in behind the 2020 new stadium initiative. He's got smoke. He's got the drums. He's a full-on Lou City supporter.
I'm sure his fire inspector will have something to say about that after the match, but once again, he is pulling the reins, so I think we'll be good.
There's no flames here. It's just purple smoke. New stadium that Louisville City has announced plans for. It's up for vote still. The Metro Council. A 10,000-seat soccer-specific stadium in the Butchertown neighborhood of downtown Louisville. Hoping that they can move away from Slugger Field in a couple of years' time with a vibrant franchise and a new home for pro soccer Louisville area. This is a free kick coming from Bethlehem.
The presentation that they've given on that, the renderings of the stadium are absolutely beautiful, and you imagine the home atmosphere and crowd that they could create with such a beautiful venue. Really hope that moves forward for them.
It'll be Jones or Real. Aaron Jones, 2 hands raised high here in the 34th minute. Jones will step over. Real sends service. Burke back across. Nearly found Najim, who did not score in the regular season.
And a solid service in from Bethlehem, and Corey Burke doing a great job getting up in the air and winning the ball. I just think he couldn't get his head squared off towards goal. Fortunately enough, headed back across the box, and you're going to get another look at it. Swung into the back post, and like you said, maybe he was trying to play it to him, but either way, not able to capitalize on that opportunity.
Nanko back, a late addition to the lineup yesterday. Going into today due to an injury to Santi Moar. He's got 6 goals and a half dozen assists in the Rookie of the Year conversation, although it looks like Reno 1868 as the odds-on favorite in their stable as a winger.
Once again, Bethlehem trying to come out of the back, and Austin Trusty doing such a good job backtracking, winning the ball, and then you and I spoke about it. He's so good defensively, but sometimes just that untimely turnover and just makes critical errors for his squad. He works so hard to win the ball. The last thing you want to do is give it away right away, yet alone in your defensive third.
Gone out over touch. Throw coming for Bethlehem. We're trying to turn this around. Winner would move on to the conference semifinal. Their opponent to be determined tomorrow night. Game that starts at 6:05 in Western New York. Rochester Rhinos playing host Charlotte Independence. Craig knocked that off with Burke, and so goal kick on the way. That Rochester-Charlotte game, I'm not sure anyone thought that Charlotte was going to drop out of home playoff position, but on the road to Rochester, that's where their season ended last year in the 5-4 game.
I think you give Charlotte a few more games left in this season. They may have dropped out of playoff contention altogether. They just can't put together a full quality performance. They definitely can't score. Had the pleasure of speaking with Mike Jeffries about that, and he just said, we're not concerned. Frustrated for sure, but not concerned. We're going to continue to go about our ways and do things that we plan to do. And he thinks the goals are right around the corner.
I see what the idea was, but no one else was onto that concept, and so the ball flies entirely out altogether. Belongs to Bethlehem here. And on the other side, Bob Lilly led the 2015 Rhinos to the championship, and call them defensive or call them counter-attacking or possession-based. Bob Lilly would probably have a word with you one way or another, but they keep teams away from goal and they score enough.
And Bob Lilly, a man of few words until he wants you to know exactly what he's going to say, and then you can't get him to stop talking. And they're, tell you what, Charlotte, regardless of their inability to put the ball in the back of the net, got to go to Capelli. Difficult place to play, such a storied venue around the United States. But an interesting matchup nonetheless.
We mentioned the big matchup they had in 2016 and 2015. The only loss that Rochester had that entire season was to Charlotte mid-season in July. Ended up going all the way to the USL Cup final, knocking off the Los Angeles Galaxy 2.
There's a boatload of matchups going on this weekend that have so much interesting backstories to them. You know, we're just referencing one of them, but the Eastern Conference and Western Conference just getting things going. It's going to be a fun and wild ride, I'm sure.
2 games tonight, 6 to follow tomorrow. Spencer has help. Smith knocked down by McGuire, and he does keep it in play.
Oh, what vision from Spencer. Luke Spencer did a great job. He saw the overlapping run from Kyle Smith coming on the right and just lays it off. Smith trying to beat Jake McGuire to the near post, but McGuire did a good job sliding over and making a decent save.
It's Kone. It's probably not precisely where Brendan Burke would have hoped on this possession. Ball slid away from Nanko by Williams.
And once again, Derek Jones doing a good job moving up, plays the ball into Kone, and Kone, he's got 2 Louisville defenders on his back. He can't nowhere to turn, but he's got no support on the left-hand side. They're actually moving the ball forward a little bit, but when they get it up there, they're just not doing anything with it. They're making terrible decisions, and there's no consistency from them whatsoever.
Interestingly, Bethlehem was a very good home road split team in that they weren't too high or too low on either account. As that ball deflects down to Ranjetsing, who will collect. They were almost a 500 team on the road.
Well, and that goes back to what you and I were talking about, where they've got nothing to lose, everything to play for, you know, no holds barred, if you will, and they're not afraid. But again, in order to be successful overall, yet alone on the road at Louisville, they've got to do a much better job because when they are getting their chances, they're not really making anything out of them whatsoever.
Okay, did slice through. Davis, George Davis. He can add to the highlight reel and spun it over the bar.
Oscar Jimenez saying, hey man, I want to play the two-man game. Look at me on the back post. Mark Anthony Kay fights off Derek Jones. Good ball outside. Kind of want Davis to pull that back as Bethlehem had already committed numbers over there. He pulls it back. I think he can put it on his left foot, go far post with a shot or a ball played into Oscar Jimenez.
40 minutes gone. Louisville a 2-0 lead. Both goals by Tarek Morad, which is an over-under I'm not sure I entirely anticipated discussing.
It's funny to even hear you say it.
Yeah. I'm just saying the odds at 1.5 over-under. I'm just saying they're significant. Morad scoring in the 14th and the 31st. Jimenez having it on Aaron Jones, who fell down. No look pass. Here's Davis playing it across, looking for Spencer.
See Oscar Jimenez a moment ago, just a crafty little no look down the sidelines. His best Ronaldinho impression that he can do. Missing the flamboyant haircut, but you know, not a bad look.
No. If he comes out later, we'll explain how great clips could do it better. But for now, he'll have to stick with it. Smith pushed off by Real. Mark Anthony Kay playing Gold Cup, played in friendlies over the top. Spencer again. McGuire got to it, and the clearance out beyond Jimenez.
And that's been the issue all night long for this back line of Bethlehem. Another long ball played in, and you can see Luke Spencer just gets a tiny little flick on it to the back post. I think if he puts a little bit more on it, he could beat Jake McGuire, but excellent save from Jake McGuire.
Spencer again the target. Kone trying to hold up play by his lonesome. He'll come back. Brendan Burke has his arms extended on the touchline, the head coach for this Bethlehem Steel side.
I'd like to be a fly on the wall for that halftime speech and exactly what he's happy with, if any, and what frustrations are in his mind going round and round.
And the second goal, Roberts goes down and heads it off of his own defender, takes an unlucky hop off the crossbar. There's an element of sort of shooting yourself in the foot here for Bethlehem in this opening half. On the other hand, that's Louisville taking advantage of their opportunities that in some ways they're gifted, in other ways they've earned.
Yeah, very good job by Louisville capitalizing on it, because they had kept numbers up top and continued to apply pressure, but like you said, just poor clearance, not the best of goalkeeping, unlucky bounces. And as we said, Morad just lining up his second of the night, third in 2 games. He's making a late case for the Squad Golden Boot Award.
Huh. He's sort of the squad Malcolm Butler of this event to this point, as it might be.
I'm not sure there's a free truck from the captain at the end of this one, though.
I doubt it. Okay, a heavy touch, but he got back to it. As Davis streaking through. That took an ill-fated hop, so Spencer does have a chance here. In the end, his effort to get by Roberts led it right to McGuire.
Luke Spencer not the best of footwork going forward, and we talked about the bounce earlier. How about another one right there, just bouncing in behind the back line, giving Luke Spencer the opportunity to run onto it.
Coming up at halftime, we'll tell you a bit about the upcoming weekend. 6 games tomorrow night, 1 more tonight in the USL Cup playoffs. We're into stoppage time. Just 1 minute. Jones to the back post. Fence was there for Louisville City. Davis. Trusty with the nod. Nanko drops it back. Nanko on it again. Kone muscling into the box. And Najum a foul. About 20 seconds to go in this first half.
Once again, Bethlehem going forward and getting all the way to the top of the box, and no support for Kone whatsoever. They've just got to do a much better job of keeping those guys connected together. They're lost for sure.
Halftime, when you go to the locker room and you're Bethlehem, you have to feel a bit hard done. A couple of bad bounces not going your way. If you're Louisville, you've got your 2-0 lead, and Greg Fisher and the Coopers are pretty happy about it.
Yeah, I think starting off with Bethlehem, they've got to do a better job of, as I mentioned, staying in connection with each other and moving forward. Take advantage of your opportunities when they're actually given to you. Louisville, I wouldn't change a thing. Maybe tighten up the back line a little bit, frustrate those guys up top from Bethlehem, and just continue to push numbers forward because they look pretty impressive so far.
Greg Fisher and the Coopers is my second favorite band, right behind Jim Trace and the Makers. There's your goal scorer, Tarek Morad, not once, but twice. It's okay. We didn't see this coming either. Tarek Morad in the 14th and the 31st. McGuire, some big saves to limit the damage. Highlights, stats, more Greg Fisher when we come back.
When you live in one of the worst areas in the nation for allergies, you need access to the best allergy care. Family Allergy and Asthma has led the way for more than 35 years, helping patients throughout the region find relief. Call today and end your suffering for good.
The most important financial decisions aren't made in banks. They're made around kitchen tables and on porch swings. They're made over dinner and over coffee by real people trying to do the right thing for their families, today and in the days to come. We understand that. In fact, it's the reason we're here. We're Main Source, and we want to be a great bank for you.
I chose Sullivan for the real-world experiences that they provide. I was able to learn about managed care pharmacy while going to school here. People think that pharmacy is just filling prescriptions, but it's really so much more than that. As a clinical pharmacist, I work with patients and providers to improve the prescribing quality and cost of medications. With Sullivan, I was able to graduate in 3 years and go directly into a residency program.
When you live in one of the worst areas in the nation for allergies, you need access to the best allergy care. Family Allergy and Asthma has led the way for more than 35 years, helping patients throughout the region find relief. Call today and end your suffering for good.
When my hair is too long, I don't feel right. But when I get a cut, I'm me again, only better. My tattoo gets feistier. My crazy eye snaps to attention. I become my own Wi-Fi hotspot.
I just downloaded the entire internet.
And trust falls? They don't even scare me anymore.
That pomade really broke my fall.
Get in, get out, back to greatness. Download the online check-in app. Great clips. It's gonna be great.
Halftime at Slugger Field, a chance to check your phones and figure out where you can get USL Match Center and the games that are going on tomorrow. Louisville City 2, Bethlehem Steel 0 at halftime. Certain fans got a special scarf along with tickets for all potential home playoff games in a package, and individual tickets for the next round are available for Louisville City should they advance. Here's the upcoming schedule. And I know that you don't necessarily think Louisville is the odds-on favorite here in the playoffs.
No, definitely not. I think they're obviously an extremely talented #1 seed, but I think if you take a look at the matchups and the breakdowns, I really like the Battery coming out of the East. I think they could run through it almost. Obviously, they're going to have to deal with Louisville, and there's a lot of games to go on, but I like the Battery. I'm not really sure what's going to go on in the West, but my hometown pick would be OKC, though I just think the Real Monarchs are just too much to handle.
Well, Phoenix and Swope have played a couple of fantastic games this year. San Antonio started unbeaten for quite a while. But for now, it's only one game in the playoffs being decided to this stage. Louisville 2, Bethlehem 0. Back with more from Slugger Field after this.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing.
I was very independent and thought I could take care of myself. I fell and I had to have Meals on Wheels.
After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak.
Meals on Wheels coming to my door as someone who's housebound, having someone check on me, assures me that I'm not forgotten.
Meals on Wheels has given me a mode of freedom that I wouldn't have otherwise.
We're the clients.
We are the clients.
We are the clients of Meals on Wheels.
America, let's do lunch.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
How can I help my daughter with her reading?
Searching for help with Dachshund Reading.
Why do you not get me?
I do. This is what it feels like for kids with learning and attention issues. Redirecting to understood.org.
Join parents and experts at understood.org, a free online resource about learning and attention issues to help your child thrive.
The end of the USL regular season also saw the end to the statistical awards race and the announcement of the winners for Golden Boot and Golden Glove, along with Assist Champion. Expansion franchise Reno 1868 FC had an inaugural season for the record books, becoming the league's top-scoring offense and snagging 2 awards along the way. Dane Kelly became the USL all-time leading goal scorer during the regular season, adding a single-season-high 18 goals to his career tally while claiming the first USL Golden Boot of his career. His USL regular season goal total reached 66 as he was the first USL player to surpass 50 goals since the league's inception in 2011. In a stellar rookie campaign, Chris Whean had a hand in the offensive success of Reno 1868 FC, connecting with Kelly to create 4 goals for Reno over the course of the season. In total, Whean notched 12 assists, tying the USL single-season record as he earned the title of Assist Champion. The regular season also saw Rochester Rhinos goalkeeper Tomas Gomez snag his 2nd consecutive Golden Glove Award. In 22 appearances, Gomez posted 11 shutouts with a .73 goals against average. His award continued the trend for the club as Rochester earned their 4th Golden Glove in 4 seasons. With playoffs finally here, the awards for MVP, Rookie of the Year, Coach of the Year, Defender of the Year, Goalkeeper of the Year, along with the 2017 USL All-League team will be announced in November. For USL Network, I'm Morgan Conklin.
They said I have troll teeth.
That my voice sounded like a possessed baby doll.
That no one would ever love someone as stupid as me.
That I was fat, ugly.
Disgusting.
The effect of bullying is potent.
We will no longer be the silent majority. Now, when you see online bullying, there's something you can do about it.
We're gonna take action with the I.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness.
I am a witness, and so are you.
Every day across America, excess food is gathered by a network of good people at local food banks, giving hope to millions of children who struggle with hunger. They've earned their wings, and you can too. Together, we can solve child hunger. Support Feeding America and your local food bank at feedingamerica.org.
Halftime at Slugger Field. The #1 seed is acting like it right now in downtown Louisville, Kentucky, as Bethlehem Steel a bit on their heels through 45 minutes. Louisville City up 2-0. We welcome you back into our booth with Devin Kerr, Mike Watts alongside. Devin, wow, it's weird looking up to somebody for once. Devin, dominant performance by Louisville in that opening half.
Yeah, dominant. I mean, they showed you exactly why they're the #1 seed. They did everything correct. They were compact at the back. They did a great job moving forward in transition. Excellent overlapping runs. And somehow we're sitting here saying Tarek Murad has put away 2 more goals.
Also something that doesn't happen very often. Tarek Morad, not once but twice. Jake McGuire had a couple good saves here in this first half to at least keep them in a positive direction.
Yeah, I think Bethlehem is very lucky. They're not down 3 or 4-0. We'll see what happens here in the second half, but Louisville got it rolling early. You know, Mark Anthony Kay trying to go one-on-one again. The rough bounces, Bethlehem's dealt with him all first half, and the ball just comes to Oscar Jimenez, who has an absolute laser to the back post. Jake McGuire made best friends with the woodwork in the first half.
That's in the opening 10 minutes of play. They go up the right-hand wing, service to Davis. Good save there by McGuire.
And again, Jimenez sprays the ball across the field, very active in the first half, and Louisville just continued with dominant possession, the ball moving all over the field.
Domination, Jimenez, well, that's what this highlight looks like. Back across the face of goal, and Tarek Morad's the goal scorer in the 14th minute.
And such a pretty ball floated in and just headed down. You can see it, great left-footed outswinger. Paco Craig gets up, heads it down, and wow, Tarek Murad just standing there all the time in the world and has no problem going to the back post, and Jake McGuire is just left all by himself.
He scored once all season long, and he scores in the first 15 minutes of a playoff game. Who would have figured?
And again, Bethlehem they would win the ball, and there's terrible distribution coming out of back. They worked so hard to regain possession, they would just give it away, and Louisville was capitalizing on those opportunities. Balls coming in, balls coming out, but again, another great save from Jake McGuire.
And this a bit disappointing because the ball is headed away, it's knocked back in, off the crossbar, and Morad's there to clean it up. 2 goals in 31 minutes.
And we talked about them just shooting themselves in their foot, and they did it again there. You know, the ball comes out, bad header right down the middle of your own goal, enables a second ball to come back in. Jake McGuire can't get it over the bar, bounces right to Murad, and just says, okay, no problem. He can't believe it. The entire stadium can't believe it, and Bethlehem can't believe that they're down 2-0 going into the half.
And so the outside defender in a 3-back system scores twice in the opening half. So if you're Bethlehem, you give up possession a few too many times in difficult places. Then offensively, they have 1 shot on target.
Well, I think when they went forward, they did decent getting up top, but again, there was just no support from any of them whatsoever. You'd have a run by Kone or a run by Corey Burke, and you know, just nothing there whatsoever. We need a little bit more ingenuity in order to break this team down. And from Louisville, like I said, I probably much wouldn't change a thing. I'd like to see them a little bit tighter at the back because Bethlehem have shown a few glimpses, but for the most part, they've done a great job, and those statistics show it right there.
The story is Louisville City, the second best home team in the USL's Eastern Conference in the regular season. They're off to a great start. Second half action right around the bend. Louisville 2, Bethlehem 0.
Ever wish your allergies would go away fast? You can stop wishing. Because at Family Allergy and Asthma, we can end your symptoms in as little as 2 days with Rush Allergy Shots. It's the fastest route to relief, and our doctors offer it. Call now.
The most important financial decisions aren't made in banks. They're made around kitchen tables and on porch swings. They're made over dinner and over coffee by real people trying to do the right thing for their families, today and in the days to come. We understand that. In fact, it's the reason we're here. We're Main Source, and we want to be a great bank for you.
At UPS, I'm the senior web developer for the Aircraft Maintenance and Engineering Department. When I was in high school, I had absolutely no idea what I wanted to do. So my senior year, I took advanced programming. It was a lot of fun. It was just like a giant puzzle, and you got to put all the different pieces together and make it your own. The one thing that's really great about Sullivan is it gives you the opportunity to get an associate degree before you get your bachelor's degree. I've already been in my position 2 years and just recently graduated with a bachelor's.
Ever wish your allergies would go away fast? You can stop wishing. Because at Family Allergy and Asthma, we can end your symptoms in as little as 2 days with Rush Allergy Shots. It's the fastest route to relief, and our doctors offer it. Call now.
Box combo, please.
At Raising Cane's, we do one thing, and we do it better than anyone else. So why not let our food do the talking? Love in the window. Raising Cane's, only the best chicken finger meals. One love.
At halftime, let's take a look at some of the Coach of the Year candidates. And if you start out west, what Mark Briggs has done in combination with Mike Peck, who started the year for the Monarchs, #1 seed out in the Western Conference. Fantastic season for Briggs. And that we speak with Mike Jeffries often. He's done a great job with Charlotte despite this rough stretch down the finish.
Yeah, Mark obviously doing a great job out west, and you know, I think they're a very tough team that's very similar to Louisville, great possession going forward, interchangeable, but Mike Jeffries is just a very charismatic individual, and he brings something funny to the table every single time you chat with him.
James O'Connor has to be a front runner, finally getting this team over the hump and into the #1 overall seed in the East. Ian Russell took an expansion team to the playoffs.
A little bit of a sleeper, and wow, what an impressive job he did with Dane Kelly, Golden Boot. So much talent going forward with that squad, and I know he's one of your personal favorites right here.
David Vaudreuil of Tulsa Roughnecks, out of coaching a couple of years ago and taking his Tulsa Roughnecks into the mid-range, the 5th seed out in the Western Conference, beg your pardon, the 7th seed, slipping in the final week. Here's the overall bracket. If you're looking in the West, is there a game you're watching for sure tomorrow?
Yeah, I want to watch the Reno OKC game. I think OKC have done a really good job coming down the stretch. They're really starting to put things together. I love Jose Angulo and what he's brought to the squad. I think Coach referenced some fitness issues with the squad here and there, but I really like OKC, and I want to watch that game tomorrow.
And they're missing Cody Lorendi, which is a big loss for that team. Meanwhile, Rowdies in Cincinnati are going to catch a lot of eyes tomorrow. Rowdies playing at home against a Cincinnati team that were oh so close. A couple goals one way or another from being here tonight instead of Bethlehem, and Bethlehem could have finished a bit higher. In the end, this is your 1-8 matchup. Louisville City comes out of the locker room, Devin Kerr, with a 2-0 lead. They feel confident coming into the game. Tarek Morad a couple of goals. Is it more of the same for Louisville City to come out of here with 3 points, or is there a change that needs to be had to assure that?
No, I don't think you make a change whatsoever, except for possibly attrition or things like that, keeping people fresh for the playoffs in the coming weeks. You obviously just want to stay consistent, continue to do what you were doing, avoid injury. On the other side of the ball, Bethlehem, I think you got to do something, because what you're doing is not working. Again, when they have gone forward, there's been some decent opportunities to make something happen, but nothing has come to fruition because they're too isolated up top, and there is that disconnection that I mentioned between the midfield and the forwards. So back to the drawing board a little bit. Still think they have the opportunity to do so, but they've got to get it rolling early.
Chambers the first touch. Here we go, second half. This portion of tonight's telecast is brought to you by Plainview Apartments, the official housing partner of Louisville City. Devin Kerr, Mike Watts alongside. Slugger field the site of this 1-8 matchup. Louisville a 2-0 lead over a Steel side that last year missed out on the playoffs with a devastating stretch in the final 12 games of their season. Spencer was racing through, and McGuire is there. Louisville, a team that has fallen to the #1 seed in the conference final each of the last couple of years in the East. Spencer cutting back and laying off Davis. The new additions, this Louisville side that retooled in a lot of ways. Got Brian Ownby available off the bench. Spencer came in from Cincinnati. They lost their 2 leading scorers over the course of the last couple of years, Matt Fondy and Chandler Hoffman. But have found a way to get goals from everybody in this 2017 season. Nanko.
They've also got the luxury of having such a stellar home record. As you mentioned, undefeated in the playoffs here. So 3 up, 3 down so far, and if things continue to progress for them, that Eastern Conference final would be on home turf.
Burke will hand off, and Aaron Jones will take over. Out of Clemson, a couple of Elite 8 appearances, had a great combine. 23-year-old who is in the Ipswich Academy. He's really impressed for Bethlehem. Najum, a former New York Red Bulls homegrown, came to the team in February.
And he's someone they got to get going because he had no real presence whatsoever in the first half. And at the top of our broadcast, we talked about him being the integral piece in the middle of the field, and himself, James Chambers, all those guys just staying connected together, moving forward. They were unable to do so in the first half. If you're Brendan Burke, you got to wonder what's going on in his head and what he needs to do to get his boys rolling.
Jones on the ground, took a flick from Sekou Kone. Kone just 2 goals last year, 10 this year. Really accepted the challenge, having to go up against a couple of very vaunted goal scorers, including Corey Burke, for playing time, much less the chance to score 10.
He's done a good job of it so far, dealt with some fitness things here and there, a couple little knocks and bruises, and a very unfortunate suspension. But I think if they can get those 2 guys to create a partnership, could be something great for the future.
Jones with the long toss. Kay for Spencer. Back to McGuire. Circumvented Spencer, but the pressure by Davis forces the turnover.
Smart by Matt Real to backtrack over there. But again, another showing by Jake McGuire and just his inability to lead his boys in the right direction. Ball's coming back like that. His center back, he needs to tell him to drift off to the side and play that ball back across. There's no reason whatsoever that Luke Spencer should have been able to shift the squad in that direction like that.
Del Piccolo, the player who was down. Quick restart. Jimenez, Davis, spun down. Kay. Spencer dropping back. Jimenez across. Smith. Smith out in front. Player down is Davis. Play continues. Trusty and Roberts were bracketing the first-year Louisville player.
Yeah, well done by them as well. And Kyle Smith, very unfortunate to not receive that ball sooner. Could see Jimenez, as soon as it did come to him, played it directly across. But I think if that ball comes quicker, they go up 3-0.
Burke just a bit outside.
Once again, Burke stepping up into the space. And look, they have the numbers forward, but there's just no communication, no support. Just constantly having to go one-on-one and play those battles by yourself. You're not going to have success in a situation like that.
Tarek Morad, not once, but twice. Jake McGuire has made every effort to keep Louisville from more. 5 saves on the evening. A couple have been of the fantastic variety. He's under pressure again because here's Smith. Out in front. Oh, he just did send that too far. Kay was making the run toward the post. Never made contact.
And just like that, Louisville, as always, going forward with numbers, going quick. Kyle Smith getting around the outside. Those wingbacks love to get up top, and pings a nice little ball to the back post. Couldn't get anybody on the end of it. Louisville, they're just so impressive when they push their numbers forward. They go quick. And they sting like a bee. Get in there, get out of there. Nothing really changed from the first half till now for Bethlehem squad.
Smith. Spencer arrived shooting. McGuire got down, made the vital save.
Well, the first half was the Oscar Jimenez show. Kyle Smith trying to rival that here in the second half, getting involved early on. Some good distribution by that young man.
Took a hop. Falls for Burke. Burke at the byline. Ranjitsingh sprawling across the 6-yard box. Claimed the service.
And that's better from Corey Burke. He finally won the individual battle and got to the byline, but when he knocks that ball back across the box, he's got to anticipate Greg Ranjitsingh is going to be stepping there. So you saw Adam Najim just standing in the middle. He's got to be crashing that front post, having a run. You can see he's just standing behind the Louisville defenders. No possibility of the ball squeaking through in that manner.
Back to Morad, who came from Oklahoma City to help start this franchise. He's one of the original players, who's been around all 3 years. Things are opening up a bit here for Burke if he can get his feet back under him. Commits a foul. It's Paco Craig attempted to go the other way.
Said if I would change anything, the only thing for Louisville that I would change is be a little bit more compact in the back, and Bethlehem trying to exploit that.
Williams, Davis, Smith, sprayed into the right-hand corner. Smith low, deflected by the defense as far as Williams. Collected by Burke. And Chambers will catch up. Lobbing for Kone. Out by Ranjitsingh. Chambers flicking that backward. Najim, nice backheel pass. Service for Nanko. Is just over the top and out for a throw to Louisville.
Again, better from Bethlehem going forward. I'm not sure Chris Nanko thought that ball was going to be swung in that manner. He was taken a little bit off guard as he didn't get very high on his jump. Maybe a little bit surprised, but better nonetheless. And this is what Bethlehem needs to do. They need to stay high, cause frustration by Louisville. But when they get beat like they are right now, make sure you backtrack, get your numbers back quickly, and just stay organized.
Change is coming for Louisville. It's the first sub by either side thus far. Brian Ownby will come on. Mark Anthony Kay will say a fond farewell. A substitution that's brought to you by Great Clips. It's gonna be great.
I think that was a little bit of posturing by James O'Connor, wondering whether or not Brendan Burke was going to make a substitution at half. Obviously not doing so, so he just bided his time, waited a little bit, saw how the match went, decided 10 minutes in, yeah, why not bring on the break? Brian Ownby.
Jimenez is down. He signed from an off-season invitational tryout.
More than I can say for myself.
He had to pay to be on this team.
He's definitely making his money back, and they're getting their money's worth now. As you can see, just Corey Burke again using that big frame as frustration on Jimenez. You're going to see him swing another ball in.
Service across for Spencer. Won by Roberts. Menez did score a free kick goal against Bethlehem middle of September. Game time goal finished 2-2. Morad thrown down by Real.
And the pressure just mounting here for the Bethlehem squad, and Matt Real getting in on the act and throwing his weight around a little bit as Louisville continue to contain possession and move the ball around the pitch.
Marcos de Oliveira is the referee.
The referee has issued a Chevy yellow card.
It's a yellow card.
Matt Real's got to be better in those situations. That's just inexperience. From a young player moving forward, you know, again, you're in the 55th minute and you can see him stepping out of the back and tries to go one-on-one with him, and just as he comes back, he's just tired and pressure, as I said, pressure's mounting and just taking his frustration out.
18 years old, played a couple games as an amateur last year, 5 yellow cards this season, came out of the Union Academy, did play a bit with the U.S. U18 national team in the course of this season. In this case, shoving down the not once but twice goal scorer Tarek Morad. Jimenez had previously gone to the touchline to be checked for a potential concussion. He is back on the field and on the ball now, having passed that test on the touchline. Oh, here's Jimenez bombing forward. Header snapped out by Real. Comes to Ownby. Jimenez short for Spencer. Got in a bit. And Chambers was fouled.
Just a high boot from Speedy Williams stepping in there on James Chambers. And going back to the concussion, you know, there's just so many rules and protocols put in place nowadays with all the research they've done about head injuries and how it affects every player in every sport. So league's very careful when something like that happens, quick to get the player to the sideline and run him through all the tests, make sure he's okay, give him the nod for the go.
Najum comes to Chambers. If Chambers had found a way to score, that would have changed the entire complexion.
Well, and I saw what James Chambers was trying to do there. He tried to go with the outside of the left foot and beat Ranjetsing on the near post. Again, good job by Bethlehem. Najum plays a good ball to the back post, and just terrible clearance by Oscar Jimenez, and James Chambers trying to take advantage of it, couldn't get it on frame. And as you said, tried to change the game there, but was unable to do so.
Ownby pushing it forward. It does belong to Jones. Bethlehem Steel. Just a couple years in their USL experience, one of the long-lasting names of soccer of old in this country. Their second year in the USL yielded 12 wins, 46 goals. They started with just 2 wins in their first 6. Turned it around, went 8-4-3 over the middle part of their season. Earned a playoff position, finishing strong down the stretch.
And I think with Bethlehem, what you're seeing here is just inexperience. You've got so many players with a lot of talent, but it's just they're young. You know, Matt Real at 18 years old, Austin Trussey's only 19, Derek Jones only 20, Seku's only 21. So a lot of guys that just don't really have a lot of experience underneath their belt yet, and you're seeing it from the issues they're having. It's just those mental lapses. You can see the spacing's off, balls coming out, and Matt Real not getting to the end line, or excuse me, to the sideline right away. You know, the ball's coming out for distribution. You need to open yourself up and give your team better spacing, which is going to make Louisville shift and turn. And again, all those things start to stack up, and that'll put you behind. And unfortunately, they're down 2-0 now.
Jones continuing all the way up to the final line of defense. Najum. Chambers. Back for Nanko, who's in for Santi Mawar. Not that Nanko has not experienced as a starter this year. But this is his 18th start. And at times this year, he was the silver bullet off the bench. Kone fell down, gets back up and shoots anyways.
Yeah, again, as Bethlehem starts to move the ball around the field, you can see the spacing that I'm talking about. There's not a lot of width, very compact and compressed, and I thought Kone might have caught a little knock on the back of his foot, but a slip nonetheless and just sails it over the bar. But again, they got to open up wide, and that'll cause Louisville to shift as well. It's like a chess match. Each and every piece makes the other one react from your previous move.
This portion of tonight's telecast is presented by official partner of Louisville City, Sullivan University. Ownby in MLS with Houston. The Richmond Kickers of late. One Eastern Conference head coach referred to this as a match made in heaven, Ownby, with this Louisville City side. Could well be a card on the way. It is a yellow. Paco Craig, the player, shoved down.
Sekou Kone doing. Oh, excuse me, Corey Burke, my apologies. Doing the same thing that we saw from Sekou Kone earlier, and Matt Real gaining the yellow, and Corey Burke going into the book as well. You can see he's trying to have a few words with head referee Marcos de Oliveira, and I think it's just continuing to push all the pressure and frustration for all the players in this squad. He's going to have a word with the third official as well, the linesman. They need to recognize that, you know, it's frustrating, but you're in the 64th minute and you're down 2-0, but you've showed a little bit more energy and some glimpses that you do have the capability of breaking down this Louisville squad. Just stick to your guns, keep doing what you're doing. A little bit better from these youngsters in the second half, but a lot more work to do. It's a good tackle from Aaron Jones.
Ownby lost it to Derek Jones. El Piccolo. Burke. He can keep the ball there.
Again, from Corey Burke, he does a good job winning 50-50 battles, but when he wins it, he backs himself into the corner and he's trying to take everybody on. And you know, where's he going with the ball? Pull it back, start over. A couple moments ago, you saw that from Louisville with Brian Ownby. He got isolated up top, and instead of trying to push the ball into space that's non-existent and close himself down, he just stepped on the ball, turned it around, started over. Very smart.
Corner coming. Yusuf Samuel has moved over to the fourth official. He'll come on now. It's enough for Chris Nanko.
Didn't really get a chance to call him that much tonight.
A substitution presented by Great Clips. It's going to be great. Service across, headed down. Samuel throws boot up at it. Nearly again.
See Joseph Samuel just stepping in there on the decent service.
Burke trying to break through. Now it's deflected. Another corner.
Great ball swung in, and very well done by Hugh Roberts getting in on the action. Haven't had to call his name. Always nice when you're a center back in the 67th minute. Trying to get that big frame of his, put a ball on target. Joseph Samuel standing on the end of it. But again, Bethlehem just pushing numbers a little bit here, doing a good job. continuing to try and apply pressure. Louisville need to be careful they don't give up something here, letting them back into this game.
Jones. Spencer headed it away. Najum. Kone ricochets down. Ball toward Najum again is cleared by Del Piccolo.
And Bethlehem's got to get back quickly because Louisville's going to press with numbers and go with pace. They've definitely got the opportunity and the option to do so if they want. That's good defending. Good job tracking back, and you see Aaron Jones slide into the space as he tried to change play.
Swing and a miss. Here comes Louisville. Menez. Smith. Smith stepping in, shooting. Deflected. And out. Or was it? He assumed, as I think many did, that that must have took a deflection. It did not.
Well, I'm not exactly sure what Marcos de Oliveira saw there, but Kyle Smith again doing a great job getting down on the right-hand side. And
Matt Real.
It definitely took a deflection. Very unfortunate for this Louisville squad as they continue to push numbers forward.
Real almost took that away. Morad. Now Ownby. Ownby behind Trusty. Cross is on. Davis knew all along that was going to overshoot.
A sweet first touch from Ownby, though, down into space and getting to the byline, knocking it back. Did a great job using his body to kind of shift around the defender.
On the ground, here's Spencer! Spencer scores! $11 goals this year, discarded at the end of last season. Injury after injury, and his first playoff goal puts Louisville ahead 3-0.
Well, I'll tell you what, Mike, an excellent third goal this is, and this is a great representation of what Louisville can do to you. We've talked about the combination play, the communication, the disconnect from Bethlehem, and they just exploited it right there. Just nice one-touch passing. Del Piccolo to Jimenez. Jimenez, an excellent ball played through to Spencer, who is just one-on-one with the back line, slides in behind their big center backs and just goes 1v1 with Jake McGuire. And again, Jake McGuire left all by himself, standing there in the middle, and Luke Spencer with a nice little chip over the top, and they go up 3-0.
It's a Lou City goal brought to you by Kentucky Lottery. They're fueling imagination and funding education. The Kentucky Lottery. Samuel back toward Chambers. Now Ownby. Spencer now has scored 3 of his 11 goals this year against Bethlehem, 2 in the regular season, a first half brace. Spencer played at Xavier, 26-year-old out of Cincinnati. Tore his ACL a week after being drafted by the New England Revolution. Went back and coached under Andy Fleming, who's the fantastic coach for the Xavier Musketeers. Got back into professional soccer last year under John Harkes in Cincinnati. At the end of the year, moved on, in part because Kyle Smith went and talked to him, said, we have a similar mindset, go meet with James O'Connor. Did so, and now Spencer's the leading scorer for the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference in the USL this year.
What's interesting with Luke Spencer as well, because with that big body and big frame and the injuries that he's dealt with, he's still very agile and mobile, and they do a great job. They'll isolate him up top. They'll moving in and out of tight pieces. Excuse me, tight spaces on set pieces. But in that situation right there, just great soccer as the ball got moved around the park, and just solid play from every single person on the pitch to get him in behind 1v1 and finish off this third goal.
Two players left that for the other. Burke is caught up. Burke entering the area, challenged by Ownby, is out for a corner. Couple of changes, one for either side on the way. Louisville and Bethlehem shuffling the deck here with some 18 minutes to go. Richie Ballard comes on, won the national championship in Indiana from the area. George Davis will come off, a substitution that's presented by Great Clips. It's gonna be great. He's one sharp tack, this Devin Kerr. Bethlehem sub will have to wait. Roberts got up to meet that. Did Rand Jetson get that, or was it Ownby? Still alive after the shot by Chambers. Goal kick. And there's a discussion being had between the far side official and the referee still. And now they'll walk away, simply a goal kick. Josh Hurd entering, 22-year-old Canadian, and that's enough for Corey Burke. It simply was not there tonight.
A very disappointing night for Corey Burke, and just no fluidity in his play whatsoever. You can see a little limp in his step, but isolated on the outside, wasn't able to get involved in a lot of the run of play, and unfortunately his season is not going to end on a bright note.
Burke, part of that Jamaican national team, played so well at Gold Cup, knocking off Mexico, falling to the United States, Gold Cup final.
And I think it's something Bethlehem is just dealing with all over the field tonight, where they have so much talent, but Louisville doing a good job that when they have come forward, for the most part, everything has been in isolation and no real creativity to write home about. The Bethlehem squad just struggling to find answers.
High boot there. Kone, yellow card.
Saw the ball just trickling out. Sekou Kone, you know, he wasn't being malicious with his tactics or efforts there, but Del Piccolo having a few words letting him know it hurt nonetheless. And as the ball just comes back, yeah, Kone just doesn't take a peek over his shoulder. And anytime you're going to put your foot up in the air like that, you got to realize what your surroundings are like, and going to pick up a yellow card for his efforts.
A native of Liberia, through the Netherlands, popped up for Samuel. Hurd, back for Chambers. For the Najim, it was an interesting case pronunciation-wise. Najim knocks that back. Last year it was Najem, Josh Godby would say. But this year, new team, new pronunciation guide, and a verbal one to go with it on the Philadelphia Union page. Najim knocked down there. He's still down inside the area. Craig wasn't looking up and stepped toward him. And there's a discussion and more than that being had. Najim now really expressing intense frustration, not only the initial lack of a call on the contact in the box, but apparently what happened shortly thereafter.
Tarek Murad letting him know exactly how he feels as well. Najim didn't want to hear it. Wow. That's just difficult floating into the space there. And again, you know, we kind of talked about some things where a referee probably isn't going to throw a PK at you in that situation, but still frustrating nonetheless. His body is definitely taking a beating here this evening. Not exactly what we wanted to see out of Najim here in his performance tonight.
Ownby into space. Here's Ballard. Heavy first touch, but he's back on it now. Ballard putting on the moves. Won by Real. Pressure from Ballard. Electric in his opening couple of games as a rookie. Clean challenge from Spencer. With Devin Kerr, Mike Watts alongside. USL Cup playoff, the quarterfinals. Louisville up 3-0 on Bethlehem. The 1 seed taking on the 8 from Slugger Field in downtown Louisville, Kentucky. Bethlehem, their first appearance. Louisville, conference finalists the last couple of seasons. Their whole season turned on a 5-0 win over FC Cincinnati. Since then, they have been fantastic at home and on the road. It came July 15th in the midst of their Open Cup run, Cincinnati. 33 points in 17 games. They've moved all the way to the top of the Eastern Conference in that time. Adam Najim will come off. Brendan Aronson has come on. It's a substitution presented by Great Clips. It's going to be great. Yeah. It's great.
Just lending my Tony the Tiger impression there for you.
Yeah. Spencer. On me! 4-0 Louisville.
And good for you, Brian Ownby. You deserve it. He is such a hard worker, utility player at times. Does a great job holding the ball up and putting in the hard work, such blue-collar efforts. And this Louisville squad and fans are so appreciative of it on a continual basis. And how about the effort from Luke Spencer getting down into the final third, going one-on-one with Hugh Roberts, and just, wow, excellent vision. Knocks the ball to the top of the 6. Very surprised Jake McGuire doesn't kind of try to come out and get that, stays on his line, makes a very poor decision to stay home. And Brian Ownby, textbook and clinical finish to the back post. And this Louisville squad is just cruising up 4-0.
5th goal of the season. It's a Louisville City goal. Brought to you by the Kentucky Lottery. Fueling imagination and funding education. The Kentucky Lottery. Bethlehem trying to find a lifeline back into this. Service over Samuel.
It's going to be disappointing for them, and a very rough way to finish out your season. You know, fortunate enough to slide into that 8th spot and come here into postseason play, but a very difficult night and such a rough place to come into and play. And on Louisville's side of things, what you want is you want to see continuity and a full 90-minute performance. Keep that shutout. It's very important. Continue to build confidence going into your next match.
Aronson, the 16-year-old, dropping it back. Real couldn't quite cut through all the forest between him and the goal. Space opening up. Is there more to be had here for Louisville? Jimenez. Jimenez on the ground. It's an easy save for Jake McGuire.
And they just really are so impressive coming out of back there. Great transition play. Ball played into Spencer. Spencer holds it up to Ownby. Ownby to Jimenez. And sometimes it can sound like a broken record, the same things over and over, but you know, why change something that's working so well for you? And interestingly enough, they are doing the same things, but Bethlehem's not counteracting it with anything. They're just kind of sitting back and letting them have their way with it.
And to a certain extent, we spoke about it earlier. Bethlehem's young, and at times they make youthful mistakes. They play a high press, and Brendan Burke wants them to empty the tank, play the system the full 90 minutes, and they really make that a priority. However, they are the 3rd youngest team, or one of the 3 youngest teams in the USL's Eastern Conference. As a 16-year-old gets on the ball and sends it up the right-hand side, the ball across is too far for Samuel, who continues his run. Smith was getting dogged all the way. Samuel did not win the throw. He's a bit surprised, and I think we are too. But the other two, Toronto FC 2, who finished in last, and New York Red Bulls 2, who won it all last year. So youth doesn't necessarily decide what kind of team you are. This Bethlehem team took giant leaps forward this year, and they'll bring back a lot of this talent next season in the Lehigh Valley.
Yeah, they've got a boatload of talent, like you said, Mike. I just think that they're making poor decisions overall, and the inconsistent play in all of their games. I used the word continuity before, and you just want to see a team be able to play week in and week out, and they're just not doing that on a regular basis. And tonight you've seen some solid offensive prowess going forward. You've seen them move into the final third, and then they'll go through a lapse of 10 minutes where they can barely get a touch on the ball. So I just think they need to stick to what they do best and figure out if it is playing that high pressure, and if Brendan Burke is going to continue down that road. You've seen a little bit of brief success with it, but overall, not the best of efforts from this young squad tonight.
Louisville would host either Rochester or Charlotte next. They've had spirited games against both over the course of this season. And frankly, played a very good game against Bethlehem earlier this year as well. So at times you aren't quite sure how it all translates to the playoffs. But Slugger Field will likely be really rocking for that. That game will likely be played on Saturday night next week. Over 6,300 in attendance tonight for a Friday night game. Only the second time they've ever played on a Friday evening at Slugger Field.
And like you said, Mike, they are capable of putting up good results versus very good teams. I mean, that September 25th matchup where they tied 2-2, they jumped out to an early lead with Burke in the 21st minute, and kind of a sparring match, if you will. Smith coming back in the 55th minute to tie it up, and then Santi Moar goes ahead in the 60th. Only to have the party spoiled by none other than Oscar Jimenez in the 76th minute. So, a 2-2 finish and a decent performance. But again, it goes from the 2-2 to a 3-1 to a 4-0. And you would think the third time that you're playing a team in a single season, you would have a pretty good idea of what's coming at you. And even though they do, they still don't have any answers for it.
Kone went down the line, hugged every coach, every player on the bench after his 10th goal this year. They wanted a giant leap forward, the Liberian, and he did that. But it looks like their season may fall short of their overall goal. Omby, sliding challenge, got it ahead as far as Aronson. Spencer playing through, it's Richie Ballard. Well, for Spencer, that's a fine swan song. He's on his way off the field.
There's the substitution. Excuse me, the substitute from Richie Ballard trying to get in on the play, and good job from Derek Jones sliding over.
Ilya Illich will come on, replacing Luke Spencer. A substitution presented by Great Clips. It's going to be great. Luke Spencer doesn't need a lot of great clips, but he did have a couple great highlights, clips we can show you.
Super active this evening for sure. He has been an integral piece to this team, and he's held the ball up in possession. He's done decent in the box from the corner, and you're seeing that goal there again. Just absolutely amazing ball movement from this Louisville squad, and great ball played in behind by Oscar Jimenez. Excellent finish from Luke Spencer, and his night's done as he's going to start the road to recovery for next week's match.
He was the director of operations for Xavier's soccer team after tearing his ACL preseason with New England. What a winding path some of these players take onto the highest stage. John Harkes bring him into Cincinnati last year, playing in front of those giant crowds at Nippert Stadium, but didn't see a lot of time behind Sean O'Coley, ended up at NYCFC. Meanwhile, Louisville had lost Chandler Hoffman to free agency, went to Real Monarchs. They thought Cameron Lancaster would be the difference maker. Lancaster has dealt with injuries, unavailable tonight as well due to injury. But Luke Spencer has stepped into the abyss, into the gap of scoring, along with a long series of other players, has done enough. For Louisville, Derek Jones into the book.
Well, and it's a testament, like you said, Mike, to who he is as a person and as a player to be able to slide someone like that into the role. I mean, director of operations, obviously you're going to have great relationships with people, excellent communication, leadership skills, and that translates into his position on the field as James O'Connor trusts him up top, whether he's in isolation or not.
I was about to ask whether or not you were talking about the relationships needed to be a striker or be a director of ops. Here's Smith. Smith across, trying to add another goal. McGuire 7 saves tonight for Bethlehem, as he did in the last meeting against these two rivals. A couple goals by Morad early, and then the maybe more expected goal scorers of Omby and Spencer down the stretch.
Let's see Sekou Kone sitting on that yellow card. Be very careful, as Paco Craig not too happy with his foul there. Kone saying, hey man, sorry mate. No harm, no foul? I'm sure that's not what Paco Craig's thinking, but.
No, but in all, that boiling pot of water came off the flames pretty quick. Well, next week, get your tickets for Louisville City. They'll play at home. Question is the exact date and time and the opponent. So pretty much everything that it'll say on your ticket. But you'll want to be here nonetheless, because, well, Rochester knocked Louisville out of the playoffs 2 years ago at Capelli Sports Stadium, so maybe a measure of revenge there. And Charlotte and Louisville played a 4-4 game earlier this year that had James O'Connor going gray a bit early.
That 4-4 game, and then most recently a few weeks ago the 2-1 finish.
Games on USL Match Center tomorrow, Rochester and Charlotte from Capelli Sports Stadium. Couple minutes of stoppage time as Greg Ranjetsing plants the ball down. He's got some bagels to buy tomorrow. This became famous with the call of Mike Pepper in Tampa Bay earlier this year, explaining that Scott Goodwin used to buy bagels, the former goalkeeper who went on to Harvard Medical School and left goalkeeping behind. Whether it's Dobrovolsky or it's Ranjetsing, someone's got to go buy bagels tomorrow for this defense for what was a fine performance in front of them, and what right now is a 4-0 win, should the shutout hold, that is.
Very impressive for sure, and hoping you're not one of the rookies on the squad, because I'm sure that's probably going to be added to your to-do list in the morning.
0 rookie defenders. The only rookie here, you've got Micah Bledsoe, the third-string goalkeeper, who at times has had to suit up as an outfield player just to have that extra player available on the bench. And Richard Ballard, who, well, he's not really playing defense right now. This will be a 4th consecutive win in the postseason over the last 2+ years. And it's looking like a 4th consecutive shutout.
Does that mean you're going to be throwing your name in the hat?
For what?
Offering your services for that bagel run?
No chance, Lance.
You're a donut guy?
What gave that away? Turning shot. Misfires.
And that's what they've lacked all night. Much more creative from Bethlehem, and Kone doing a good job bringing it down off his chest and just laying it off for the runner coming through the middle, but sails it over the bar and just, you know, haven't really had a lot of good chances. Credit to this Louisville squad, who have been so stingy all season long and continue to do so in the first match of this Eastern Conference playoff race.
Ball through, Ballard again. Ballard pirouetting in the box. Trusty preventing further damage. Well, Bethlehem, it was a fine season. Their first run to the playoffs. A lot to be proud of. A young team with a lot coming back next year, one would imagine. For Louisville, the train continues to roll on. The number 1 seed knocks off number 8. There will be no upset tonight. Greg Ranjetsing the shutout. Morad scores twice. And Louisville City is on to the semifinal in the East. They'll take on either 5 seed Charlotte Independence or the 4 seed Rochester Rhinos.
Yeah, very unfortunate for Brendan Burke and his boys to head out of the stadium with an absolute 4-0 drubbing, if you will, but extremely impressive from Louisville City in their efforts here tonight. Like to see a little bit more compactness from their back line, but still super impressive going forward. Solid goalkeeping by Greg Ranjetsing, and I think it's just a great performance all around for this Louisville City squad.
Handshakes all around. Morad twice in the first half. Spencer in the 70th. Omby, the cherry on top in the 79th minute. Louisville City a 4-0 winner. Highlights after this.
Life is easy here, and now you can make it even easier with a home equity line of credit from Republic Bank. Even if your mortgage isn't with us, you can get a below-prime 2.99% APR 6-month introductory fixed interest rate with an ongoing variable rate thereafter and no closing costs. Pay off higher loan rates, manage unexpected expenses, or make a home improvement or two. Stop by your nearest Republic Banking Center and talk to an associate today. We're Republic Bank, and it's just easier here.
When my hair is too long, I don't feel right. But when I get a cut, I'm me again, only better. My tattoo gets feistier. My crazy eye snaps to attention. I become my own Wi-Fi hotspot.
I just downloaded the entire internet.
And trust falls? They don't even scare me anymore.
That pomade really broke my fall.
Get in, get out, back to greatness. Download the online check-in app. Great clips. It's gonna be great.
Pizza, beer, sports. A great combination. Join other sports fans at Boomba's Pizza and Tap House in Louisville, where you'll find what Food Network says is the best pizza in Kentucky. Incredible game day and social hour specials starting at just $2. With an award-winning menu and one of City's best local craft beer lists. Just one bite, and we know you'll love it so much, you'll come back time and time again at Boomba's Pizza and Tap House, your social sports destination.
Louisville City a 4-0 winner tonight. Tonight's save of the match brought to you by MagnaWave, the leader in pulsed electromagnetic field therapy, and Greg Ranjetsing making sure that there wasn't an early goal to be had.
Yeah, not much to do for Greg Ranjetsing here this evening, but Corey Burke getting to the byline, playing a good ball across, and Ranjetsing recognizing the threat that was coming to him, stepped to the front post. Excellent effort.
The Coopers get at least one more home game at Slugger Field this year. Louisville City knocking off Bethlehem Steel tonight. It finishes 4-0. We welcome you back into our booth. Devin Kerr, Mike Watts alongside. If you're Louisville, you came in with confidence. James O'Connor told us all about it. They had won their last 2 of the regular season, 5 unbeaten, and tonight did nothing to disrupt that thought.
They look like the number 1 seed for sure, and very scary. I mean, they're fiery. They've got great ferociousness going forward. I mean, it's just very impressive all around. I think they did everything right and nothing wrong.
Here are your full-time highlights. Louisville City knocking off Bethlehem Steel tonight. Oscar Jimenez was absolutely everywhere.
I initially was going to throw his name in for man of the match, but definitely the man of the first half for sure. He was all over the place. Excellent distribution and, ball moving around the pitch. Mark Anthony Kay going one-on-one and just takes a nice little timely bounce to Jimenez, and Jimenez with an excellent effort to the back post and just off the crossbar.
So would Louisville be a bit unlucky tonight? Would that be the case? Not quite. Jimenez starting this play up. It would find Craig, who finds Tarek Morad?
Yeah, they put the pedal to the metal early, and they were not willing to pull off the gas. And like you said, Tarek Morad just scored last game somehow off the deflection on the penalty and was able to tuck that away and gets his second goal in the early moments of the first half. And again, great service from Jimenez, ball flicked down. Morad just runs through and just tucks it in on the back post, and Louisville went up 1-0 early.
That in the 14th minute, and Tarek Morad suddenly the talk of the town. But why have one when you can have two? This ball comes off a deflection from Roberts, played back in by Tosh, off the crossbar, and there he is again.
And a partridge in a pear tree. And the ball just kept moving around. Nice little domino effect. As you said, terrible clearance by Bethlehem, and not really sure what was going on in goal with McGuire. Not able to get his hand onto it, caught off guard a little bit, and very lackadaisical effort in goal. And somehow Murad grabs his third in 2 games.
And yes, the singing was worse than the defense there. We see Jimenez moving forward, this in the latter stages, second half. Luke Spencer wants one for himself. It comes in the 70th minute.
Luke Spencer got his swan song just before he stepped off of the pitch, and just absolutely amazing ball movement by this Louisville squad. Came in to Spencer, played it off, went out to Ownby, into Jimenez, back into Spencer, and Spencer finished it off, and just super impressive with his efforts tonight.
Spencer, this in the 79th minute, would find Brian Ownby floating inside. It takes just a nice kiss.
We talked about Spencer being isolated up top. He did a good job bringing the ball down, holding it up, and like you said, just a nice little flick to the back post. Ownby running onto it. Textbook effort. And again, Jake McGuire left by his lonesome to fend for himself and just not able to keep up with the pace of Louisville this evening.
And Tarek Morad, 2 goals tonight, walks off victorious, and a shutout as well. Now there is one team that's moved through. There's another game later tonight, Salt Lake City taking on Sacramento in the quarters, then the other 6 tomorrow. This is a great first game for Louisville in this playoff run, if it is to go deep.
I think it's a great first game for Louisville, and I'm sure it's a great first game for the league. I mean, you got what you wanted out of your #1 seed. Unfortunately, the 8 couldn't step up to the task and handle the efforts, but very impressive front to back. And I think it's going to be a rough task for anybody to come into this venue and pull off a win against this very talented Louisville City squad.
So Lou City rolls on, 4-0 the final score over Bethlehem Steel FC. A family affair tonight. 63-78 came out to watch it as Paco Craig in this defense of Louisville holds Bethlehem and their best offensive season scoreless in the 1-8 playoff game. And now Louisville looks forward. They're watching that game at 6 o'clock tomorrow, Rochester and Charlotte.
Yeah, I'm sure they're going to have a very brief celebration. James O'Connor going to get his boys back on the task at hand and figure out exactly who their foe is going to be in the next match, but home field advantage nonetheless, and looking forward to the next game.
For Sharni Yerke, Scott Ferguson, and Jonathan Tellicher, our whole team in Louisville, and Devin Kerr, Mike Watts saying so long. Tarek Morad's the hero, finishes tonight 4-0.
This copyrighted telecast of the United Soccer League may not be retransmitted, rebroadcast, or reproduced without the express written consent from the United Soccer League.